The Real Talent Podcast is brought to you by The Agency, Australia's real estate. Welcome to the Real Talent Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Wood from The Agency, and this podcast is where we deep dive into the minds of Australia's top performing agents with one focus: listing strategy. From winning the appraisals to mastering vendor communication, we break down exactly how the best in the business are securing more listings and growing their market share. No fluff, no guesswork, just real insights, real tactics, and real results, straight from the agents who are doing it every day. Let's get started. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Real Talent Podcast. Bloody pumped this week. Got certainly a legend of Victorian real estate, but someone I've known for a very long time. And Hass, mate, great to have you in here, and welcome to the Real Talent Podcast.
I'm flattered to be here, mate.
You've got, I'm sure, some pearls of wisdom to unleash on our listeners. But, mate, I was just flicking through the stats. I think north of 100 sales, which is incredible in itself, but pretty high average sale price, north of $1 million. And the stats are very impressive, mate. So in this podcast, we get straight into it. We don't like hearing, we're not sort of into your whole life story type setup. Good. It's more the ins and outs of real estate and how people can improve. But what I'd love to dive into first and foremost is just the early stages of your career. So I guess, where did you start off? Did you start in sales? What was that progression for you?
Yeah, I started as a PA like most people. In fact, before that, I was reception on Saturdays,
yep.
the switch pitch. Before football, I was 17 at Buxton Bentley, and then got the PA job to learn the ropes, and was there for probably 5 years under Craig Williamson, who's still at the Buxton Bentley office, and just learnt everything that I pretty much know today. And a lot of what we did back then, we still do now, and train the new guys coming in.
Yep. And so that progression, I mean, obviously, you worked your way through the ranks. I think nowadays a lot of agents want that quick fix. So they want to get into real estate and they want to do $1 million in gross commission in their first year, do all these sales. But a lot of the time that's unrealistic in certain marketplaces. How long did it take you to go from PA to salesperson to obviously, not so where you are now, but to make that progression through to being your own salesperson?
It was 5 to 7 years. I had to graph it up when I did an ARIC talk then, and I didn't know the numbers, and then you could see it really flatlining, and then it kicks after about 6-7 years. And my philosophy has always been like, build your client list with people that you can help. When they want to sell, they'll sell.
Yep.
And it takes a long time to build that up to 100, 500, 1,000, 2,000 people. So I think that 7 years was just doing opens, cold calling, and building that client list. And
were you a part of a larger team in that process for the whole time?
It was Craig and I. So Craig was starting up a new business in Bentley. So it was basically 3 of us at that office at the time, and then it grew to 4, and now it's the behemoth that it is. So it was just he and I got Craig's, I guess, all the advice that he could give to me one-on-one. And it was good fun thinking about it now, even when you start chatting about it. We'd have competitions at an open, who could meet the buyer first, and it'd be standing at the front door, then the letterbox, and he'd be opening the car door to the person to try and meet them, which was good fun, as well as hitting home the importance of getting to know people.
Sure. So obviously there's that balance in real estate of building relationships. There's also the quick wins. I mean, if you meet someone on a Saturday that wants to sell a house, that's it's like a bit of a unicorn straight away. I remember an agent, Zali Reynolds, said to me once, she prefers meeting vendors that actually aren't going to sell immediately. She prefers if they're going to sell, 5-10 years down the track, because it allows her to build that relationship. So diving into the building of the relationship throughout those early days of your career, obviously you would have been a young guy at the time. Did you have any barriers, or did you find it hard to build a relationship with, more mature clientele?
Yeah, you get judged that you're too young, and also you're learning yourself the knowledge of all aspects of the industry, including building, planning, all the things that you need to learn. So, yeah, you naturally get those hurdles. We were a brand new business. No one heard of Buxton Bentley at the time. So I got a lot of, if you worked for that company, we would have gone with you as well. And I'm glad I didn't move around and jump ship. We stuck pretty fat and built that business. But yeah, I still miss them today. I almost missed one that I'd been in contact and chatting with for 20 years. And it was the toss of a coin at the end, so you never know. You just got to do your best.
And with that rejection that you faced early on in your career, did you ever think, this is too much, like I'm going to pack it in?
I've listened to a lot of podcasts now and read a lot of books back then, and I had Craig, who was a great mentor, that it's, not what happens, it's important, it's how you react, and I teach my kids that now. So no, you're welcome. It's a mind game. It's a state of mind game. So we sort of would welcome when you lose one to see how you bounce back. And if you list one, the best thing we could do is go and list another one, not sort of celebrate that one that you've listed, and those sorts of beliefs that just make the job easier, because you're going to miss heaps of them. I miss more than anyone, more than a lot of people, I should say.
Well, they say if you win every listing that you're chasing, you're not chasing enough listings.
So true.
I think it's probably a pretty accurate statement. So in that first 5 years, what were the tasks? What were the things that propelled your career, that took you, and if you were starting again now, what to say if you were the fundamental aspects of real estate that are non-negotiables for you and you instill in your team now?
The quicker you can build a client list of people that know who you are, and when they think real estate or need something that they call you, that will tell me how someone's doing. So if someone's been in it 5 years and has a contact list of 100, or been in it a year and got 1,000 contacts, that'll directly show me what they're writing at the other end.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the big thing that I focused on. Being back at the office at like 7 o'clock when no one's there, cold calling people, hey, we're offering free updates, do you want one? Being told to F off and, oh my God, mate, you must be struggling if you're having to do this, all those fun things that you did. But we call it the eating SHIT phase, which Gary Vee talks about a lot. And the focus with all the guys still coming in under us now is to build that client list and maintain good relationships, help them with what you can. And in 1 to 20 years, you can't control that, but at some point they'll need that real estate advice. Some are a year in and some are 20 years later. They'll need a real estate agent and they'll call you.
And are you strict about the data? Like when you're with those cold calls, if you're new to the industry, is the focus, hey, I want to find people who own a property to sell? Is it I want to find buyers who aren't being serviced? Is it a mixture of all? Like, what should these agents be focusing on most?
We were focusing a lot on if they've got a home to sell, to start from there. And remember, we had times where we had no listings, so we're like, oh, well, let's just jump into the boardroom and do some training. So we started from very low numbers, but I think it's evolved a little bit now where you need to be servicing everyone depending on what stage they're at within their process. But I do know that if I have a listing, when that sells, I'll be rewarded for it. Whereas if you're chasing and helping a buyer and they buy from someone else, it could be a 10-year, 20-year burn. So we did focus a lot more on if they had a home to sell, and we would service them for that time.
So cold calling is certainly a key aspect of the business. And we spoke briefly before we started the podcast, and some of the numbers that you're talking about, your team and the amount of calls they make is astronomical. But what would you consider to be an adequate amount of calls an agent needs to be making on a weekly basis in order to get that traction?
I mean, 50 a week is pretty good. And this is prospecting, not calling buyers from buyer lists and things like that, but actually cold calls. 50 to 100 I think is realistic, and that's still a lot. That's 10 to 20 a day. That would be where we set our bar in the office, and making good quality calls.
Okay. Yeah. And with that, like obviously you're handling a number of listings at the moment. Just with your time management aspect, obviously north of 100 deals per year for anyone is a lot to handle. How is your team structured at the moment?
So I'm very hands-on. So I'll have opens all day Saturday and auctions as well. And then I've got my buyer agents that'll answer all the email inquiries and help me at the open for inspections as well. And I've learned now that I will only commit to being at the opens if I can fulfill that commitment,
sure,
which is a big part of it. And I learned, 15 years ago when you wanted everything, you upset a few people from not fulfilling things. So I just need to manage my commitments now. And then I've got I've got my team under me that handle the sales with me. I've got the marketing girls as well that set up the files once we list it. So once I go from listing it, then the girls grab the file and set it all up, and then I pick it back up once we're about to start the campaign.
So will you, from the time you list the property to the time your first open for inspection rolls around, how much contact are you having with the vendors?
It depends. If it's ready to go and there's not much required in the presentation and the setting, pre-sale fix-up, then not as much. At the moment, yesterday I had a painter, a floor sander, the furniture people and the curtain team all there in that hour with the vendors coordinating their pre-sale fix-up, which is a big part of our business. We offer like a concierge service to the sellers now. Mm-hmm. So I could tell you how much per square metre rate it is to sand a floor and use water-based instead of oil-based because you'll be able to get on there quicker. So I'm probably too hands-on, some people might say, in a sense that I don't like delegating some of that stuff.
Okay. I'm sure the vendors appreciate that as well.
Yeah. Sort of I say it, I'm like, maybe I should relax a bit more. But anyway.
I think realistically, like the perception of real estate agents, particularly directors, partners, directors of businesses, is that, they're there for the listing appointment and you don't see them again till auction day. That is the challenge and the perception that I think a lot of vendors have, rightly or wrongly, be it through experiences they've had in the past. So I think that's refreshing to hear that you're still involved in all aspects of the campaign. Just digressing back to what we were discussing before about your progress through those stages, what did your gross commission look like once you stepped out on your own as a standalone agent? Was it, $1 million overnight, or was it a slow burn?
It was a slow burn for that 7 years. And then I think I was reluctant to get out of a PA role with Craig. And then I won salesperson of the year as his PA. So he's like, mate, you got no choice now, you're out. And I remember the numbers, it might have been like 120,000, 170, 140, 210. And then suddenly it went, it doubled and doubled and doubled. And I think it might have gone from 1.2 to 1.8 to 2.5 to then crack 3 million a few times.
Huge.
Big jumps. You can't fake that time in the industry. That's in my opinion, it just takes time. You might meet someone that absolutely loves you and that we're using you when we're selling, but they're waiting for the kids to finish school and it's going to be 8 years from now. You can't fake that. So you just, going back to earlier, if the bigger your client list, the more people will be doing something.
I think that also creates a very sustainable business. I think that a lot of agents have, I'm not going to say overnight success, but a lot of agents you'll see come in and really do well initially, but they find it difficult to maintain that level. And I think the way that you've gone about it through that time in industry has served you well in terms of consistently improving year on year. You mentioned the fact that you sort of doubled, you went through a phase where you were slowly creeping up, but then sort of doubled and continue to double. Apart from time, was there anything else that you think you changed in your business to allow you to do that?
Yeah, I did the flexi fee. That was something that I got introduced to, which was interesting. No matter which market, there's always, an agent that's keen to get the business and might be a bit lower on the fee and so on. So I introduced to my own business the 1.5% to 2% flexi fee, decide after it's sold what you'd like to pay rather than just the 1.5%.
Yep.
And that meant I could demonstrate to the vendors what we're all about and deliver a great result, and potentially they might pay a little bit more. So if you get that extra 0.5 on 100 listings and you work that out, that my maths isn't very good, but that could be $500,000 in a sense for the year doing the same numbers, because I can't list more than roughly 100. I'm done. I can't, and I don't want to with 3 kids and juggling it all. Try and play golf once a year. So the thing that I did adjust was the flexi fee, which was a really cool thing to be able to introduce without it costing me anything.
So just delving into that a little bit. So effectively, you would have agents who come in and say, we'll do it at a more affordable commission level. So you would like to get 2%, but your competitors are charging 1.5%. Effectively, what you're saying to the client is you can have anywhere between 1.5% to 2%. Don't decide now. Decide once the property is sold based on our performance.
That's it, literally.
That's basically the setup.
That's it. And don't penalise me for the other agent's inability to get a good, to negotiate really. And when you ask that question, I'm just off the top of my head saying that, but that would be one of the bigger things I introduced to getting paid a little bit more for the sale.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you're talking like numbers like that, when you're talking, volume and gross commission, 0.2 or 0.3% can make a significant difference at that sort of volume, right?
Yeah, yes, it does.
Yeah.
And, if you truly believe you work hard, and I'm sure we all do, and you want to be rewarded for it, it's nice to let them decide afterwards.
What percentage of vendors would choose 1.5?
It's a third.
Is it?
No matter what happens. Yeah,
Okay.
It's a third. I've had, great results, bottom fee, worked really hard, passed in, had to sell it 4 weeks after auction, and they give you the top end because they've seen how hard you work.
Sure.
It's just,
And what percent of your fees would be flexi fee?
half of them would be flexi fee, and then other half would be dependent on the person's experience or wants and desires.
Yeah, sure.
Always different.
Absolutely. Every vendor is different. I think we know that. With social media now, it's like completely changed real estate, and a lot of agents probably rely on it, in my opinion, a little bit too much. So if you had to rank, say, calls, social media, letterbox drops, if you had to rank those 3 activities, how would you place those?
Human to human contact to say, hey, Michael, how you going? How's the house? Just wanted to wish you a happy anniversary, mate. I think it's been 5 years now. How's the little one? You getting much sleep? That interaction is so valuable. It's what we thrive on, and AI will never take over that. So the call is, and the genuine interest in that person is the key. That is the core. And then, like the icing on the cake, social media is great for brand awareness, where you're getting your face shown up and you might have had a great result to put it out there. But the one-on-one human interaction, or the call, is the most important part. And then, a nice handwritten card afterwards, again, taking that time. You can't fake a phone call. It's a real thing. I pick up, I'm giving you my time. It's one-on-one.
Sure.
And then if I do a great auction, it's great to be able to have that one bit of content and put it out to 3,000 or 5,000 people. That's very efficient as well. But the one-on-one relationship is core. It's the key.
Calls remain undefeated.
I think so. That's my opinion.
I agree with you, mate.
Yeah.
No, I really do.
Everything else complements it. You want a good social media. But, it's like silly analogies, but yeah, you can go to the gym, but if you're not eating right, it starts with that as well.
Pre-list, list and post-list strategies, what do they look like for you? So you book an appraisal, book the appointment, a vendor, you're trying to establish before that meeting, how much you're trying to establish on the phone. Do you try to find out, I've heard agents say, I want to know who I'm competing with before I go in there. I want to know what they think it's worth. I want to know if they're definitely selling. I want to know their time frame. Or are you, hey, I'll pop around and see you at 4 and just fly blind? Is there a pre-list? How does that work for you?
Yeah, timing's everything. I just want to know how I can best help them. So I'll just say some people are wanting to sell tomorrow. Other people are just wanting an idea on price. How can I help you? And they'll say, well, we're selling, we're doing this or whatever. And then it's a nice pre-list letter that gets dropped off pretty quickly by one of the team to confirm the appointment with my details.
That same day?
Yes.
Okay.
Ideally, yes, it is the same day, and we all get busy, so it doesn't happen all the time. But yeah, get the letter out, and then I like to go through all those. I never ask about other agents. I don't care, and then to see where it takes us with. But the timing, if they say they're selling in a month, I know what I need to bring.
Yeah.
It's just initial conversations. The kids will be done in 4 years, and then we'll be looking to sell. Well, I know it's a more casual appointment.
And do you ask a lot of questions about the property so that you're best prepared with those comparable sales? Do you give them a price on the spot? Like, what's that preparation look like for you?
No, I think I just ask if you were to make a move, where are you going to be going?
Okay.
And, then they might talk about the peninsula or wherever they're going, and then it's a nice little conversation that I can have with them. But I'm not asking them about the house, how many bedrooms, all those things. I'm winging it.
Sure. Very relaxed and casual sort of conversations.
That's me.
Yeah.
I know some, like one of my good mates and great operator, Simon Wood, he's very detailed and he would probably have a bigger checklist than I, but it's not one's right or wrong. That's just my style with it.
Sure. And then in a listing presentation, I'm not going to ask you to give away all of your secrets, but is there sort of any key points of difference that you rely on?
My involvement's a big one,
Sure.
if I'm at all the opens and whatnot.
Auctioneering,
I'm an auctioneer, so hopefully they've seen me do that as well. I probably have the time in market and, some runs on the board now where I think
you are like probably one of the most humble people I've met, given your success. But in a way, it's sort of like track record speaks for itself.
I tell you, the secret weapon in a moment is like when they need to get their house set up. Like I'm going there, and I've heard some other really successful agents with like hands-on agents. Is like I'm there getting the quotes. I'm there advising on all these random things, having maybe built before and renovated, so I can focus on even before I've listed it, where to spend $1 to add $2 of value.
Sure.
And suddenly then I'm giving and helping before we've even done anything.
Okay.
And to get someone around to fix a lock or do whatever it is in grout, it's impossible. So I'm probably like the Uber Eats in a sense these days of making the process so easy. So, hey, I've got all the trades for you. I've got all these clients and contacts that we can work with. And suddenly it's like, oh, great, this is just the easier direction, the path of least resistance.
Like project managing the entire aspect of the campaign.
It's a lot of work, but yep. And I've got a great team outside of Buxton that are all the handymen as well. You know, my old cricket coach does all the carpet. I've got my floor sander who's amazing, and all these great trades. They're there in a day or two and they can start the work, and that's just that's probably what I think about when you ask me that, because the marketing's all the same now. We're all online. We all do pretty much the same stuff.
And then post listing. So let's say you've gone there, you haven't signed it up on the spot. Is there you've got any strategies in place to try to enhance your chances of winning that listing?
I'm always sharing successful stories. So if it's Saturday and we've just had some great results, I'm back on just letting them know about the successful stories that we've had and the good results. And then it is a cut the cloth to suit depending on the situation. But, you know, I'd love them to come and watch me do an auction. And I always set up when I want to speak to them next, because I don't want to be that guy hassling them. So I say, when would you like me to call you? So I can time that as well.
Okay.
And
so sort of like not asking permission, but you're trying to, I guess, set up that next point of contact so that it's not inconvenient or you're not overbearing.
It's the same with the buyer. They say, oh, we're just going to get the contract reviewed and then we'll make an offer. So I'm like, okay, well, when are you getting the contract reviewed? Oh, we've sent it to them. Awesome. Well, let's talk tomorrow. Because then if they keep delaying me, then I know they're probably not very
genuine.
interested.
Yeah, sure.
So I try and set those little timeframes. But
you work in a large business where you've seen lots of different operators and different styles and techniques. Having said that, what do you think the number one reason people miss listings is?
Maybe knowledge. I think knowledge. Like I like, you know, to know what P50 shadow lines are, to know what easy jam door frames, all the knowledge stuff that I can go in there and I'm talking about all this stuff that I know. And maybe if they go in and they're not in that detail, they're sort of more just surface with this is the ads and fees and not knowing the product. Maybe that's why they miss it when I'm in there.
Your knowledge goes far beyond what the 4 best comparable sales are. Like you're going next level with your knowledge. It's build quality, it's materials, all that sort of stuff.
Try to, because when the vendors spent a fortune on Phoenix tapware, and you know what Phoenix tapware is and how expensive it is, and then you can articulate that to the buyer coming through that's trying to work out what this thing's worth or why is this one better than the other one. I think that's sort of demonstrating that you have that product knowledge to sell the place that they want you to sell and know it a bit more. If someone's done a renovation and they've chosen a few features that you know how much things cost and what it meant to do, ceiling heights, pitched roofs, whatever, to appreciate those things that they decided and spent their money on, I think if you don't know that or the knowledge isn't there, you might not gel as well with the client, if that makes sense. I had a mate the other day, he goes, I went in to buy a car and I was asking the bloke about the car, the engine, all these things. The guy had no clue about the car. He's like, I'm not buying from you.
Yeah.
So maybe, I don't know, when you ask me that, I think maybe knowledge.
No, I haven't had that answer yet. So I think it's definitely makes sense. And it's probably, we talked about like points of difference before, and that's probably like a key point of difference for you, right? Like,
I try.
Yeah. I think, and it's like, it's not just like build quality. I remember years ago, James Tostovan said to me, we were standing at the front of a property and he said, what type of tree is that? I said, I've got no idea. And so I learned the tree. And, you know, we walked out the back of the house and he walked in the back and he said, oh, it's a cracking golden elm to the vendors. And like they loved it because they love they love that golden elm tree. But for them, it's probably like just that product knowledge, just reeling off things like that. It's not, you know, it's not a deal breaker, but it's those extra little bits of information that you can have. And so now I'm, you know, knowing the difference between an ornamental and Manchurian pear tree, like stuff like that, right?
I think it builds rapport. Like you're coming in, you're showing an interest in the thing I've got, and you know they're all little rapport building things. I think they're important things rather than seeing something on the wall. You know, oh, you've been to Greece. You know, it's like, you know, everyone
who hasn't. Yeah. If they're speaking to a real estate agent, that agent's probably been to Greece in the past few years. I think it's a very popular destination at the moment. Tell me, mate, in terms of your team structure and setup, how big a role does accountability play?
It's a big part because that's how we measure all our expectations of the guys. And we spoke about it today. If everyone was interviewed as to what a really good real estate agent would do during the week, everyone could name it all. Like, I do this, do that. But it's actually that accountability or the execution of doing it. So, yeah, the accountability is big. We count our appraisals, we count our presentations, our listings and all the things, and all the guys have their own little initials on the board with how many appraisals did you do this week. And, you know, if you've got a duck egg 2 weeks in a row, it's pretty, you're like, Jesus, what do I got to do? I've got to get on the phone, and it goes back to then doing the job. So we try and keep the basics on there, like accountability. I don't ask them how many calls they've made. I think if I made 10 calls and got 10 appraisals, or they made 100 calls and got 10 appraisals, it's the end result.
And so is appraisals that number one thing you look for?
Yeah. If you've been into someone's home, and pat the dog, I call it, if you've pat the dog and you're in the house, and then they know who you are when they need something. But if it's just a voice on the phone, leaving a message once every 6 months, and maybe, you know, a text message, and I get text messages from agents in areas to say, hey, it's coming up to spring. If you want to sell, let us know. And it's actually makes me, it annoys me. It's like, you know, you want to.
Lazy.
Yeah, you want a big fee and you're just texting me. I'm like, no. So, yes, get in the door, pat the dog, and just meet them and spend some time with them. And then I always say that, you know, if I was a plumber, everyone would be calling me saying, I need my toilets sorted out. Or if I was a hairdresser, I'd have heaps of clients wanting, it's real estate. And when they need a rental appraisal letter or they're selling, you know, they know Chris and they call me because I initially went there, and then I speak to them every year and keep in touch.
I think the challenging part with the calls, like, completely agree, you know, the calls are important. I learned many years ago, if you have a really good conversation with someone, but then you go the extra mile and say, you know, you haven't secured an appraisal, let's say they're like not looking at selling, not considering that at the moment, but you've added them to your database, you've got their address, you've got their email address, just popping around that night with a CMA saying, look, I know you're not looking to sell, but just thought this might be helpful. Or at the end of the week, it doesn't have to be the same day, but just putting a face to the name. When you've met someone, it's such a difference to just calling them.
Big difference. And that would be a purple cow doing something like that. It's a great idea. Non-invasive. One thing that works for us is we tell the owner that 9 out of 10 of people that we appraise the homes aren't selling. They're just curious to know a quick val of the home. And when they hear that, then it takes the pressure off an appraisal. You know, an appraisal is a very heavy thing, like, oh, it's formal, I've got to clean the house. So I'll normally say, look, 9 out of 10 people aren't selling. They just want a quick update. It takes 2 seconds, and I've got 3 kids at home. My house would be dirtier than yours, so don't even bother cleaning it. And you're just taking all the preconceived ideas away from it too, which is an easier yes. Anyway, it seems to work.
No, I think it's a great point, mate. I just want to just quickly jump back to about team management.
Sorry, yeah.
No, that's all right, because we do. It's so easy to digress and go in different directions. Mate, team management, obviously you talked about your team, you talked about that structure. One of the biggest things I see in agents and probably their inability to progress to the next level is actually letting go of certain things. I know that you've mentioned your hands-on, and that's incredibly important, but how do you get that trust in your team to be able to know that they're going to do the right thing? Is it extreme training? Was it hard to do initially? How is that trust built with your team members?
You've nailed it on the head, mate. It's if they're competent, and through us training them and teaching them, then they're competent. Therefore, I can do that. If they're not, then obviously that's where the stress will come from. So I've got a great team around me now. A couple of them have been with me, 2-3 years. We know what each other is doing and thinking before. It's just we're all in sync. And then, we train every Tuesday. I've done that for the last 22 years, every Tuesday, literally every Tuesday, 8 till 10 now.
2 hours.
2 hours. 8 till 9 is auction training and freestyle. And then 9 till 10 is we get recorded and blasted out to the entire group. So no swearing and,
So when you say you get recorded, is it like scripts and dialogues? Is it someone doing a listening
learning
presentation?
and development. Yeah. We've sort of called it now, but scripts and dialogue. And I'll freestyle with everything from a listing appointment to language, to body language, to there's so many things that you can learn. So we'll just hone. Like one of the guys had his hands would be under here, and I know, put them on the table. Little tips that no one teaches you these days that I remember being on the receiving end of, to articulation, to walking into a building site with a builder, to then conducting yourself with, Betty and John, who are 95 years old. You've got to change. You've got to be that chameleon. But no one teaches you that unless you talk about it. So we will talk about so many things.
I could imagine.
Slowing down the language to all these other – you probably watch and think it's a cult, but
well, I don't, because I remember a listening presentation I went to a few years ago. It's one of the first that I went to when I was working in a previous company, and we went to the listening presentation, we walked out, and I thought that I'd nailed it, thought it was a really good listening presentation. And James said to me at the time, he said, look, it was fine, but it's Peter and Judith, they're not guys. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, oh, well, you kept on referring to them as guys, and everyone does it. And I thought, it's such a small thing that I'd say, guys with the marketing, this is what the marketing is going to be, and guys with the, commission, blah, blah, blah. And, he said it's Peter and Judith. So Peter and Judith, this is the marketing. And I thought, it's a small thing, but A, people love hearing their names, and secondly, it's just courteous. Little things like that, and I assume that's what you're talking about.
Exactly those examples. We don't have a buyer and a seller; they're clients.
Sure.
We didn't sell the property; it transacted at this level. It's all these things that you've hit the nail on the head. We don't even know we're doing it half the time. Yeah.
Auction success, I like that versus clearance rate. That's another one that I hear all the time. People always talking about clearance rates. Someone said to me once, a clearance is at Myer or David Jones. We have an auction success rate. And I was like, sounds so much better.
That is our sessions.
Yeah, sure.
And all of those, I love it, all those really cool things. And then the guys will do listing presentations and we critique them, and they start to get into the groove.
And how have you found, obviously you're certainly not old, neither am I, but there are younger people coming through now. And from my perspective, I think sometimes the way that the generations are changing, sometimes that feedback and that critique can be not taken so well. Is that a challenge for you and your team? Have you found that to be changing over the years?
The rule is egos are left at the door, and we're all here to learn and develop and get better. So I haven't yet, knock on wood, and part of the interview process is, hey, this is what the next 5 years is going to look for you. With Lockie, you're going to be nestled with me. You're going to learn a lot. And I had a chat with one of the guys this morning about accountability, and I expect a little bit more, and you should within yourself as well. But it's not a listen and telling them off. It's more helping and development.
If you want to improve, this is the standard that's required type thing.
Yeah, and in the nicest way possible. I've been on the receiving end of it, and I know how nice it is to be treated that way and be taught, and that's how I'll dish it out.
Yeah. 100%. What's your best listing source?
Referrals?
Is it just that classic database?
It's boring, isn't it? Yeah, I feel like everyone would ask me that, and I have some amazing answer. And I sometimes get really wigged out that my job is to call people and keep in touch and just be nice. And it's like, that's my job. It's so weird that then in 10 years' time they call me and say, Chris, you've been great. Come around, we're selling. And I signed it up and no one else is in there. I'm like, it's so weird. Like, you self-reflect, it's weird. Call people and just say, hey, I just call in, have a great Christmas, Happy New Year, happy anniversary. I'm here if you ever need anything. I'd love to be a point of contact at Buxton. Let me know if I can do anything. Otherwise, see you later.
Yeah. And it's just that awareness that you're there to help if required type thing.
And it's very valuable, as one of the other guests or one of your other agents said, is the person you can show that you are genuine in their situation for 7 years before they need anything you've given and helped, then they see the truth in that, and that's a nicer business. So when you were mentioning earlier about the agent that comes in and done $1 million in their first year, it would be very transactional and it would be a little bit sterile, I would have thought. Whereas, I've listed a house for Jack and Lila. I've known them 20 years. I've sold for her mother and now I'm selling for her again. It's a hug. It's a nice, you're going to do the sale. It's a nice way of doing it.
Yep.
as opposed to going back to the relationships and giving people that time. Gary Vee talks about the jab, 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 right hook.
Yep.
Give, and then you earn the right to ask. I don't want to sound too rah-rah about that. But
Gary Vee. No, I mean, clearly the guy's successful, right? So,
and some of the philosophies are true. Don't ask straight up. Everyone's like, what's in it for me? As opposed to just, if you like, we've always looked at this as a marathon job, and just give all the time and it will come back. And it sounds a bit airy-fairy, but it is that karma train of just, if you're giving the whole time, you will win. And it took a lot longer for me to hit my straps in that way maybe, but I wouldn't change it.
what do holidays look like for you? Like, a lot of agents struggle to switch off.
Yeah.
Are you one of those guys that I do follow you on Instagram and see you? I think there's a bit of a classic car down at the beach house or something like that. You sort of you get down to the beach house a bit. Are you good at taking time off and switching off?
I set myself up or trick myself where I make commitments with things to do with the kids that I have to do it. Like, I coach the cricket Tuesday nights from 4:30 till whatever, and then Sundays. Then I can't get out of it, because otherwise you'll get busy and you always find ways to get busy. So, I lock in things with the two kids, and my third doesn't do much at the moment. She's 2, but I'll manage that time. And at the moment with kids' sport, I'm not getting down the coast much. But
And holidays throughout the year, try to take some good holidays?
Yes, the mid-year one's a big one to recharge and switch off, and we work 6 days a week. So, I take that 4 or 5 weeks off, and then Christmas time I'll try and do 4 weeks if I can. It sounds amazing, but working 6 days with the phone on Sundays, you are game on for 5 months of the year.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's consuming. I think if you can take those breaks, it's imperative, and being able to actually switch off in that time is probably half the battle as well. 2 more questions for you. One, I think it's easy. A lot of agents in real estate struggle with what this real estate industry can afford you. Like, how's it changed your life?
Oh, mate, I feel so lucky that I get to do what I do. And like some careers, if you're in sport, you start young and then you hit your peak and then it just stops. Whereas this can go forever, and it's changed my life. I've grew up with humble beginnings. I've been able to buy my mum a house, which is pretty cool. Don't want to get too emotional. But, things like that, and send my kids to school and stuff that when I was thinking about getting into real estate, and it was going to be either be a fiery and maybe landscaping or real estate, and then sliding door moments with a few things that then now here I am is bloody awesome. And I love being able to do that for the guys that are working in my team now, and somewhat less input into with the group, knowing what it can be. And it's pretty, here we are.
Yeah.
Doing this, mate. I've known you for a while.
Yeah, that's it.
It's fun.
We've got to get back on the golf course, mate. It's I know it's hard with how busy everyone is, but I see that handicap's been sliding out, I think, since we first met.
Brutal.
Which probably means your real estate career is going well. Usually they work in unison. One more question for you, and we ask every guest this question. Apart from yourself, who do you consider to be the best real estate agent in Australia?
I think of 2 people that have had an impact with me. One's Mark Earl, my corporate business partner. He's great. He's always available on the phone. And when I told him it's impossible to write $1 million in Bentley, and I remember walking down the first at Yarra Yarra, and he's laughed at me and suddenly changed my mindset. So probably Mark Earl for me, and John McGrath, just listening to him, how articulate and ethical he is, and he's a visionary. Even though I've never met him, I've taken a lot of things out of his book with a lot of his beliefs.
That word articulate is probably the best way to describe him, in terms of everything's so smooth and genuine, I think, that he says.
He's just a good person and can be successful in an industry that has funny reputations. So
funny's a nice way to describe it. Mate, thank you so much. Your time is invaluable, and I'm sure that there's people that are listening to this, agents that have been in the industry for a year, 6 months, 5 years, 10 years, that are going to take a lot out of it, mate. So Very much appreciate it. And I'm sure we'll have you on down the track some stage.
Love to, mate.
Thanks, Chris.
Pleasure.
The Real Talent Podcast is brought to you by The Agency, Australia's real estate.